let's see. Let's see if we are live and if there's sound. One moment. Let's see if we are live. There is. Okay. All right. It is Friday, November 21st, 2025 at 5:08 p.m. Central Standard Time, and here we are in Aquila City and in Starfield. And the reason we're here, of course, is because this is going to be the topic of my next lore video, covering Aquila City within the Starfield universe. This will be capping off the 4 major settlements within the settled systems, having already covered Cydonia first, then New Atlantis, then Neon, and now Aquila City. So Aquila City sits on the planet Aquila within the Cheyenne system. If you take a look at the map, and this is really kind of like they've definitely. I personally believe this is probably the best of the solar systems within that have been settled by humanity within Starfield, because basically you have Sol, obviously our system. Now that has no habitable planets anymore within the Starfield universe. Earth is uninhabitable. Along with that, then you've got New Atlantis, which is pretty good. It's got 2 planets with breathable atmosphere. One of them is definitely more livable than the other. That's Jimison. The other one is Gagarin. Then you've also got Neon, which is in the Voli Alpha system. It's a single planet that has breathable air and water, except for the other problem is the entire planet is water. So you've got that going kind of against it. But again, generally speaking, not terrible, because again, you've got a planet with breathable air and an ocean full of life. But Cheyenne, Cheyenne is amazing, because not only do you have all these planets, including 4 gas giants, you also, 5. My apologies. You also have 3 planets or moons with breathable air. You have Aquila, then you have, Kodos, and then along with that you have Montara Luna. So again, they've got 3 full planets and moons with breathable air, ready for life, all that kind of stuff. This is definitely the system. This is like the GOAT system within the settled systems. And it's controlled by the Freestar Collective. It was originally the very first man to jump to this system, was the first man to plot the course to this system. Hey there, Doc Vanguard Voyager. I'll find out why they didn't use concrete. Take it off the... Okay. Oh. Well, it's good to talk to you. Hope you've had a good week. Jeez. All right, there we go. Sorry, got a hefty cat that's just jumped into my lap, and occasionally she uses her claws as a way to climb my lap, and that's what just happened just now. So, okay. So yeah, again, Cheyenne system though, with its 3 planets, the first person to ever jump here, the first person to chart the course, was Solomon Coe, originally a citizen of Wyoming back on Earth, who was evacuated to New Atlantis, as far as I know, and then from there basically got tired of the bureaucracy of the United Colonies, plotted the course to the Cheyenne system, jumped here, and founded the colony of Aquila. Now, I think I've talked about this before, and I will mention it within my video, but I believe that basically Aquila is basically it's like a mispronunciation, misspelling, like probably on purpose. I sincerely doubt Solomon Coe. Like, he seems like he was a very smart guy, kind of daredevil explorer sort of guy. I think that it's basically a mispronunciation of Aquila, which is eagle, Aquila. I think that's entirely what this is, and that kind of goes further than that when you consider the fact that the symbol of the Freestar Collective is an eagle, and when it comes right down to it, Aquila, eagle. There you go. Now, along with that, of course, having been from Wyoming, he, of course, is then from United States originally, which has the symbol of the bald eagle. But anyway. A little bit of G Fuel there. All right. Yeah, founded 2167 by Solomon Coe, as you see there. Now, I did look a little bit into the name Coe, and basically in preparation for starting this research, doing the pre-research, which is into the real world stuff. And there actually is a famous Coe in American history as well, in terms of the founding of America. I need to look him up a little bit more. I basically did a glance over the guy's profile. I think it's Robert. Why don't I take a look real quick? Give me 1 second. Basically, he was a colonist from England who came over in the first big wave of Puritans, and he founded settlements. He served in a whole bunch of different roles within the government, and he's actually kind of the progenitor of the American Coe family, which includes within it the entire modern day Bush family, and by entire I mean from Barbara Bush on. And then along with that, I don't know if he's a direct ancestor or if he's just related, but Churchill. Sorry, my cat is scratching her head on the microphone pop filter. Give me 1 second here. I want to make sure that it is actually Richard. It's either Richard or Robert. Give me a second. Oh my good lord. Auto-correct. I'm typing Coe on purpose. You don't need to keep correcting me and changing it to things that I'm not looking for. One second. This is a strange ordering. Sorry for this dead time here. Yeah, basically I was looking up all the people named Coe, and one of the first people that came up, and a name that I'd actually heard before, was Sebastian Coe. He's a British athlete. There it is, yeah, Robert Coe. 1596 to 1689. So yeah, I think that is potentially one of the sources of the name Solomon Coe. Just again, because we're talking about one of the early colonists, basically one of the people pushing back the frontiers of the New World. And this would not be the first time that we've seen early references to early English colonization of the New World, specifically with the ECS Constant. That's the whole system there that's named after the ship that founded Jamestown. So definitely you've got some early English colonist vibes with some of the space settlements, and so it would not be even slightly surprising to find out that Solomon Coe is a direct descendant of his ancestor that came over and settled the New World. So again, Aquila City. Just gonna want to wait. I'm clicking the wrong button. Sorry. I haven't played Starfield in a couple of months. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, I really do like the local maps that they created a while back here. So I've seen people complain about the size of things, and I personally have a little bit of that complaint myself. My personal view on this thing is they've done basically what Bethesda has always done in terms of setting up cities, in that they do basically a facsimile of what the real city would be like. Now, I don't think we know the exact size of what Aquila City would be. I've seen people put forward some numbers, anywhere from like 80 to 150,000. I don't really know where they get those numbers from, but they seem fairly reasonable. If not, I think it probably should even be actually more than that. But regardless, when you look at this stuff, obviously, if we were looking at a real version of Aquila City, we're talking about, again, a city that's been around for like 160-something years at this point. It should definitely be bigger, but at the same time, again, this is what Bethesda does. They put in facsimiles of cities. It's the same reason that the Imperial City is walkable within Oblivion, when in reality it would be absolutely enormous. I've seen people put together what are like basically artist recreations, artist renderings of what the city should look like according to the lore. And yeah, absolutely, Bethesda does not put together the cities in the same size. I think that for Starfield, that maybe they should have done something a little bit differently. They maybe should have done something similar to what Mass Effect did, when you can go to like Ilium, for example, and you can visit basically specific districts, and you can walk around in those districts, and when you look around in the distance, there's a skybox. And you can see the city just like going into the distance. I think that probably should have been what they did here too as well. Now, along with that, something that goes along with that as well, I understand entirely what's going on with Aquila City, why it looks the way it does, which is that Bethesda was basically trying to put together all the different space sci-fi genres into the same game, which is why we've got basically, if you go to New Atlantis, down in the Alpha Centauri system, you have basically the like Federation sort of a thing, basically just a general future Earth sort of a situation. You go to Cydonia in the Sol system. If I can zoom out a little bit. Where is it? There it is. Sorry. In the wrong direction. If you go to Cydonia, you basically have the kind of, I would say this is like the absolute maximum levels NASA punk sort of thing that they're talking about. The look they were trying to get, where basically it looks like something that you could see literally happening in the near future, and by near future I mean within the next 100 years, on the surface of Mars, where it's basically a colony that's mostly subterranean, but that has a little bit of the of an area above ground and stuff like that. You go off to Neon in the Voli system, and you have basically cyberpunk future. And then again, when you come to Cheyenne and you come to Aquila City, you have basically the cowboy, the Western sci-fi sort of a thing. Which all these are different forms of sci-fi that exist, and that again Bethesda has put together within a single game. I would definitely say though that after 160, I think it's 163 years, because I think it's 2330 now, and again 2167. The city should have paved streets by now, especially given the fact that this is a capital of the Freestar Collective. Like, it does not make sense, and it doesn't even need to be like paved with asphalt or anything like that. By this point, though, there should be a cobblestone street at the very least, something like that. Flagstones. Whatever you want to do, this area here should be paved. There should not be a muddy street here in the capital of the Freestar Collective. And it's even one of those things where, like, yeah, you come up here, there is some paving, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can definitely go ahead and say that the Freestar Collective is a more loose collection of people, whereas like the United Colonies is much more of a formalized government. But at the same time, it's obviously the case when you, like, okay, first of all, the rich people within Aquila City, the rich people within the Freestar Collective either live in Neon or in Aquila City. So it's one of those things where rich people generally like to improve their general surroundings. And so, yeah, I would definitely say that even if the government itself is not going to pay for the paving of this street, you would definitely see, maybe not even the Coe family, maybe one of the other founding families of the Freestar Collective would pay for the paving of this street. But again, I understand entirely why they're doing what they're doing here. They're trying to create the Western aesthetic. I just don't think that it matches the reality of what would actually happen here on the ground. I 100% believe that there will be, in the future, cities like this. Basically, Western cities, if you can find worlds out there, if we get faster than light travel, and if we get to places, planets that are like Aquila, then I can absolutely see something happening where you've got kind of a Western future. But again, after 163 years, this city should have paved streets. What else, though? Was thinking about this stuff a little bit. So the differences between Aquila and Earth. Aquila is a little bit colder, and I think it's a little bit drier. Especially if you look at this, you can see that there's coniferous forest, there's savanna, and then there's frozen plains. But along with that, there's the ocean, which there looks like there's plenty of ocean too. It's just, again, the planet is a lot less green than Earth is. In fact, there's basically no green spaces. Now, obviously, it's not going to show up everything from space. It's one of those things where, I don't know how many of you all have noticed this, but if you look at, like the, what's it called? If you've seen your own area where you live from above, either from a plane or from a satellite view, it doesn't always capture the fact that there are a bunch of green plants. Most of the time, you'll see nothing but kind of gray and brown. And it's only really when you're on the ground that you can actually really see how much green there actually is. But the fact that this is a coniferous forest here does not show up on the map. Something else that I was thinking about, if they do make a Starfield 2, or if they want to do this in a DLC at some point in the future, I think they really need to add rivers into the game. It's something where there is a large pond within New Atlantis, but it would make much more sense for them to have founded things like Aquila City on a body of water, and there is no body of water nearby. But yeah, look at this. Obviously, again, there's a whole bunch of green here. All these coniferous trees here. These conifer trees, I should say. In this coniferous forest, but again, this doesn't show up on the map. And again, I don't think that that's necessarily wrong, because again, I've seen this personally, where even from the air, sometimes areas won't look quite as green as they actually are in person. But let's go back to Aquila City. So, yeah, so basically what I'll be doing is I'll be doing what I did with my videos on Cydonia, New Atlantis, and Neon, where I basically walk you through the city. Can we wait? No, we got it. That's okay. That is something else. I might even look for a mod to fix this, but I hate the fact that Bethesda took away the ability to wait anywhere. Like, that used to be a thing. If you did not play some of their earlier games, you could literally wait anywhere. Now you have to sit down in a seat in order to wait. And it's annoying. Because it's like sometimes I just want to see it go from night to day, right? Let's see, where local hours. What time am I actually trying to get to here? It's only 6 locally? Okay. Well, we'll do that. Is it winter or something? Why is it so dark outside at 6:46? Like, obviously, where I live right now, it gets dark at 5:30, but it's because it's late November. Anyway. I don't know if you heard that. Occasionally, if you listen close enough in my videos, you might well hear this cat purring, because probably at least once a video she has jumped up in my lap and is sitting there purring while I'm recording. Let's see. Alright, there we go. Sunrise. So yeah, Aquila, if you're not aware, is home to the Ashta, which is a very dangerous creature. It's effectively a form of a, I think genus is the right way to put it, called the lion bear. You can find them on multiple planets across the settled systems, but they specifically are called Ashta here on Aquila. And I think lore-wise, they're supposed to be the most dangerous version of them. They're the entire reason why this city has walls. They're incredibly dangerous, I think. And I'm going to have to review this material, because I've done all the quests within Aquila once, but it's been over a year by this point. And I remember there being situations where they're sitting at, like, seismic sensors. And it's potentially the case they can burrow, but I can't remember if that's correct or not. I don't think it's the case that they can burrow under the wall, but again, I'm going to have to review it, because it's been a while since I've actually looked into this this specific content here within Aquila. Or within Aquila City, I should say. See, we got the poor side of town down here, where people are living in tents and stuff like that. Alien extravaganza. There's a bookstore, I think up this way. Okay, I will definitely say, and I've talked about this a little bit before in my video on Neon as well, I think. I think that one of the spots where Bethesda really dropped the ball was in terms of in-universe culture. And I think that they basically tried to set up Starfield like Fallout, to where when you're going around in Fallout, it's actually quite rare to find anything that is created by the people recently. The closest thing you get is the Wasteland Survival Guide, and yeah, that's the actual thing created by Moira Brown, and you help her create that, and you can find that in later games. And it's a thing that she's put together in order to help people try to survive. Again, that's like the one piece of culture you can find that I can think of off the top of my head within the Fallout universe that has been created basically at the time of the games. The problem is that Starfield is not that kind of universe. It is technically post-apocalyptic because at the end of the day the Earth is no longer habitable. But humanity has spread across 1,000 planets. There we go, there's the bookstore I was looking for. And while technically it is post-apocalyptic, like you can find movie posters occasionally. I think there's some even right over here. It should be the case that we can find books on a whole lot of the different things that have been happening, and unfortunately they did not bother to do that, and I don't really know why. Because again, if you play... This game is much closer to an Elder Scrolls game in terms of the world that you're exploring. Now, yes, technically... No, not technically. Elder Scrolls... You're really just exploring Nirn almost exclusively. You do go into some demonic realms, or Daedra realms, I should say. But for the most part, it's the one world. Obviously, in Starfield, you're exploring across 1,000 different worlds, 4 of which, let's say 10 of which probably, when you come down to all the minor colonies and stuff like that, are actually fairly important. There's no real in-game culture to consume. Like, there's, again, you can find some books, but they're all books that existed on Earth beforehand. Let's talk to... Is it her? No. Here we go.
If you ever find an old Earth print, happily.
So the books she has for sale are... Like there's little things like this, which again don't tell us anything. You can't even read these, I don't think. Well, no, you can. That's right, you can. But again, they're fairly weak little things here and there. I want more more stuff that tells us stories of the in-game universe. If you've ever played the Elder Scrolls games, you know how many books there are that you can read that contain in-game lore. Like just stories, there are plays, there are historical accounts of military action and stuff like that. That stuff is just basically does not exist within Starfield, and I'm really hoping that at some point in the future they will fix that, because, again, there should be. It's the same sort of thing. Again, there are just points where it does feel that Bethesda kind of dropped the ball in terms of understanding the universe they were creating. So, to be clear, let's go in here to... well, actually, no, let's see. There's a gun store where... well, there's one that's connected to the gun factory for Laredo firearms. Let's go over here. Alright, so again, when you're playing Fallout, you are in a post-apocalyptic world where everything is scavenged. So it's entirely understandable why it is that ammunition, meds, food, all that kind of stuff is difficult to find. That is not the case in Starfield. Starfield, again, is going to be closer to Elder Scrolls, but if anything, there should be far more to buy within the Starfield universe. We can literally find factories that produce all kinds of things, including this one right here. We are in a factory right now. But if we go into the ammunition thing, they're like, oh yeah, I got 13 rounds of 40 millimeter XPL. It's like, what? There are literally factories producing this kind of stuff. How do you have only 13 rounds? How does that happen? Again, I love the universe they've created, but there are little things here and there where it just drives me crazy because it feels like they didn't really think about how the shops should operate. It shouldn't be the case that you ever have issues finding ammunition. This is a universe with factories to produce ammunition, factories to produce guns, factories to produce food. We've got farms on all these different worlds. It should be the case. So there's a... yes, the ECS Constant. There's a small little quest there where, in order to get one of the... I can't remember her name. To get the captain to allow one of the passengers to leave. Can't remember her name off the top of my head. It's in the ECS Constant video and within the addendum. Regardless, basically... the captain won't let this person leave the ship. Like, if you can't convince her with speechcraft or whatever the skill is. She wants you to pay her something like, I think that's 120 potatoes or something like that. Now, in an industrialized society like ours, or like you'd find in Starfield, I should be able to go to the grocery store like I can in the real world, and I should be able to buy 120 potatoes from a single shop. That's not how things work in Starfield, though. You have to basically go to, like, dozens of stores in order to find that much in terms of potatoes. Again, little things here and there that they really did not think their way through when they were putting things together. And the inventories of stores are absolutely one of those things. So again, they produce these really beautiful, interesting worlds, but they are just little spots here and there where they absolutely dropped the ball. Anyway, though, okay, what else to talk about with Aquila City specifically? I don't know. There's been some new content added since the game launched, specifically the Bounty Hunters, Trackers Alliance stuff. Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that 100%. Bethesda relied too heavily on the balancing of their other games in Starfield. Yeah. And it's one of those things where they should have balanced the game around the fact that it is an industrialized society. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, you should be able to get thousands of rounds of ammunition if you want to get it, but there should be like something limiting you after the fact, right? That should be the way it works. Not something where you are simply limited by the amount of rounds you can get because you're in a post-apocalyptic society, which again is not the case. Or you're in, like, the Elder Scrolls Society, which is a medieval society where everything's handmade by individual artisans. Like, you may even find a factory here or there within, like, the medieval world, but they're not anything like the modern-day factories. We're talking about, like, places where people are manufacturing silk by hand, you know? Anyway, though. So, yeah, the Trackers Alliance... base was added here post-launch, I mean. Yeah. No, 100%. Again, it should be the case that, okay, if Aquila City is going to be the foundational city of the Freestar Collective and their capital, it should absolutely be the case that it is more developed than this. Now, I would 100% support them having a second city, or even a bunch of other little cities across the planet that look like this in terms of aesthetics. But it should be the case that the capital of the Freestar Collective is more developed. Now, I don't think it needs to be like the United Colonies, where it's this perfect, orderly society where everything exists within this bureaucracy and all that kind of stuff. It should be the case where you basically find yourself with like winding streets all over the place because nothing was pre-planned and everybody was just building like after the fact. But there should be paved streets. There should just be, again, much more of it should be something that makes sense for a city that's been around for 163 years. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of there are a lot of interesting quests here. I mean, there's this one right here that's actually going on actively right now, which is basically the foundation of the Rangers quest line. I will also say, okay, another little minor complaint here. The Freestar Collective Rangers should absolutely be there should be a larger number of Rangers than there actually are. I can't remember what the exact number is. You find out during the Rangers quest line, but I feel like there's something like 10 Rangers active at any one time, and it's like, really? It's like, if anything, there should be hundreds at the very least of Rangers active across the system, because they don't just operate within Freestar Collective space either. That's the thing. They go beyond Freestar Collective space in order to assist other people at other locations. So there should absolutely be more Rangers. Either that, or there should be more like standard Freestar forces that interact with the Rangers. And even then, there should still probably be about 100 Rangers minimum. So when I say like 10 Rangers makes sense for like Aquila City and the surroundings. But anyway. Like I said, I love this. It looks great. We've got these people with like the interesting clothing here, like the marshal here. But at the end of the day, there are just little things here and there they did not think their way through. Anyway, though, yeah. So again, interesting quests here. Some of them dealing with the ash outside. I'm trying to remember all of them. There's a bunch of them. But yeah. At the very least, this game had its engine for edition. Yeah. No, yeah, I'm looking forward to Elder Scrolls 6. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this version of the creation engine with Elder Scrolls 6. I'm hoping that the like little bit of parkour that they've added to the game remains for Elder Scrolls 6, like this. I like this. I like that they added this to the game, because it's always one of those frustrating things when you're playing some of their older games where it's like you come up to a ledge and the character just like basically runs up against it repeatedly, and it's like, that step is like 18 inches tall. I'm pretty sure you can walk up that. But yeah, my hope is that effectively... Okay, the very first thing that I'm extremely... oh, what's the way to put it? I don't want them to abandon this game. I think that's the number one issue that I have right now, and I don't think that they have. In fact, they keep basically dropping hints that they're working on something. But at the end of the day, it's been over a year since the DLC. They've only put out one DLC so far. Everything else has been Creation Club stuff, which, more power to the people that love Creation Club stuff. I don't like it because none of it's canonical, and I like canonical lore, and I want to actually play stuff that Bethesda themselves have produced. And I do not like that Bethesda is putting more and more stuff out themselves on the Creation Club store, because it's basically, they've taken on the whole model of horse armor and have extended it out like to a disgusting level. They're basically nickel and diming people with the little bits of content they're releasing, where it's like individual weapon skins. Can I go into the Creation Club from here? Let's see. Creations. Okay, yeah, this is the stuff. I got the stuff that is actually made by Bethesda, and that was free, I believe. So yeah, I haven't actually done anything with that. But yeah, look at this. Individual skins for guns. This should not be something they're producing. If anything, all of these together should have been one package. This, again, is another skin for the what's it, Rover? I can't remember what it's called. And again, the observatory. all that stuff. If it's intended to be part of the game, it shouldn't even be in the Creation Club. It should be part of a patch. It should be something, or again, part of a DLC, part of a larger bunch of content. They should not be doing this one little thing at a time that they're doing right now. I don't like that. But yeah, that's so. Again, going back to what I was talking about, I first of all don't want them to abandon the game because I think there's massive potential here. I already like a lot of what they put into the game, but there's like so much more they could do with it. Again, they have literally over 1,000 planets to play with. Not to mention that they could add additional systems if they wanted to, with all kinds of other stuff. There's just they need to put more into it. And they need to basically connect some dropped connections and stuff like that. But again, so if they do go forward and make more, make like a Starfield 2 or something like that, effectively take what they have and just work on it more. Put more stuff into it. Like one of the things I was even talking about this a little bit earlier. Rivers. To my knowledge, there are no rivers in the game, which, like, yeah, there should be rivers. It's one of those things where it's like they're absolutely a part of real-world landscapes, both on Earth and on other planets. Like, I think we've even seen, obviously not flowing rivers, but I think we've seen channels where water used to flow and where, like, melt liquid can flow on other worlds and stuff like that. And it's entirely obviously going to be the case that when we find other planets that are habitable, that have water on them, they're going to form rivers. It's crazy to me that there are no rivers within Starfield. Now, I understand why that is, and I think a lot of that is because basically you look back at other Bethesda properties, and generally speaking, like, they haven't done a lot of rivers. Skyrim being one of the main what's it? This whole thing. I'm sorry, I'm having some aphasia again today. The thing that breaks the rule, whatever it is. To where you do have rivers in Skyrim. But, like, other than that, you look at, like, Fallout 3's rivers, if you could even call them rivers, and they're pretty sad. The little bit of Potomac that we have, that's mostly blocked up. You look at Oblivion, it's like, yeah, you've got, like, technically what is a river, but at the end of the day, it's really just a giant bay, and it's just a flat piece of water that cuts into the map. They really haven't done a lot of rivers in the past, and I would love it if they would do more of them. And, like, for example, like Aquila City. Look at the map. If we go to the surface map here, there's no water in this area. Now, maybe they've got wells here that are pulling water up from some underground water table, but that's not how people found cities. Like, New Atlantis, weirdly, makes significantly more sense than Aquila City because it is built on some water. Or at the very least, maybe they just engineered all that water after the fact. I don't think that's the case, though. I think they built the city around the water. And in fact, I think that, if I remember correctly, it's been quite a while now since I really investigated that stuff. I believe that they actually have hydroelectric generators running on that waterfall. But again, you don't found cities like this. It should be the case that, like, obviously, he should have either founded, Solomon Coe would have logically either founded this city on the coast, or he would have founded it upon a river. And, like, you can even look at the map and see what look like river valleys. But this, of course, could even be just like a dry river valley. But there should be rivers. This planet has water. It has rainfall. You can see that there's a hydrocycle from the fact that there are clouds. There should be rain. There should be rivers. There should be lakes. And that's definitely something that I need them to do in the future. See why they posted the weapon skins individually. Console players have very limited mod storage. Well, I don't think that's... Well, okay. Maybe they've updated that recently with the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition. I know that they've dramatically increased the space that can be devoted to mods. But yeah, I don't know how much space those take up. Let's see. Where is does it say how big they are on here? No, unfortunately it doesn't. I was going to see if it would say the size of the mod, but it is not. But those mods are tiny. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they were actually, well, given it is a modern game, they probably are like a megabyte. But I was going to say they're maybe kilobytes, but no, they're probably a couple megabytes in size. And yeah, I don't know what the size that consoles have for mod storage, but anyway. This might be the only playscape in the settled systems. Just looking at it. Oh, I've never even done this before. The carousel moves. I didn't even realize that. What is this, a merry-go-round or a I think a carousel is the horses, right? So yeah, I think this is a merry-go-round. Can I shoot it to make it spin? No. Oh. Let me stop it and see if shooting it makes it spin. No. Dang. What about shooting the bars? Oh, did that just change colors? Okay, shooting the bars does make it spin. Let's get a gun with that can shoot more ammo more quickly. That might be one. Oh, this I think will do it. This guy is just out of the Unity. I had. Yep, there we go. It's spinning a little faster. Oh, that stopped. Whoa. Okay, there's some weird jank. What the hell? I didn't even shoot it that time and it just changed. Oh, wow. You've been playing Outer Worlds 2 lately? Wish they went in the direction rather than spinning. Yeah, okay. So, so earlier when I said that I think that they should have done basically like a skybox sort of sitting. What the hell? Is she wearing... Oops, sorry. No. Okay, for a minute I thought she was wearing...
You want to give the kids space, they can be rambunctious.
There's, is it... I can't remember who it is. There's that character on Crucible that wears like an Egyptian outfit. I can't remember. It looked like that for a minute. Like that's what she was wearing. But so yeah, I think that what they should have done is with heavily populated important cities on important planets. So we're talking New Atlantis, Aquila City, Neon, and Cydonia. That what they should have done is they should have done basically a Mass Effect style sort of situation where you can only land at that city. And that when you land in that city, you're going to a specific part of the city and that it's surrounded by a skybox. That should have been the way they did that. And then 100% go ahead and throw in all of the procedurally generated worlds you want to. But anywhere where there's actually like a lot of story elements you're trying to put in, something where you need the place to feel real, to feel lived in and feel like it should for a city of its size and all that kind of stuff, I would have much preferred that they did a... again, a Mass Effect style setup. Yeah, I gotta play Outer Worlds 2 at some point. It's just a question of when, and it's one of those things like there's so many games out right now. Like, I'm still needing to play Expedition 33, and then along with that, there's I also really want to play Arc Raiders. I still have not taken the time to really properly play. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. There are so many games that I would love to actually get some more time in. I just haven't had the time for it. Or I've devoted myself to other games, you know. I've done a lot of work with videos in the past month, and then along with that, like, there was definitely a period of time earlier this year where I was really into Helldivers 2, so... but yeah. Anyway, again, yeah, my hope with Starfield is that they don't abandon it, that they take what they have here as a foundation and they build massively upon it. Now, the problem is that with Bethesda being structured the way they are, and with it being the case that they have their 3-game cycle that they work on, well, 3-universe cycle that they work on, I don't know that there are... Okay, I will say that it appears to me... from the outside, with no knowledge of what's going on the inside, that they are not devoting enough resources to Starfield. And I'm simply saying that based upon the release of the DLC for things like Fallout 4. Where, with Fallout 4, by this point in the development cycle, we had all the DLC for Fallout 4. At least I'm pretty sure that's the case. And obviously there we're talking about... the original game was fully out. Along with that, they had all the stuff like Far Harbor. They had Nuka World. They had all those other ones like Automatron. And then like the different things where it was just content for the workshops. Again, we've had one piece of DLC for this game so far. personally speaking, it wasn't really that my favorite thing. Like, the House of Ruin stuff is interesting to me, but there's like much more other interesting stuff to me within the Fallout universe, within the Starfield universe than House of Ruin. House of Ruin is interesting, but again, and I'm glad that they went the direction they did there, where they did the handcrafted stuff. They didn't create like 1,000 additional. Well, obviously they wouldn't have created 1,000, but like they didn't create like 10 additional systems. They created one system. They created a whole bunch of handcrafted locations. I definitely think that's the way to go forward with this stuff. But again, they need to do more of it, and we need to see more of it more quickly. And I don't know what exactly they have to do to make that kind of thing happen, but the current cycle means that we, like, first of all, I don't know when this next DLC is coming. They've been talking about it off and on for months now. But yeah, I've heard rumors that maybe they'll talk about it in December. Who knows? But yeah, again, they probably have all their people devoted, or most of them devoted to Elder Scrolls 6 by this point, which, from what I've heard, is not coming until 28, probably, which, crazy. Like, some of those things are, yeah, they probably have had to devote most of their people to working on other games, working to overhaul and address a lot of the issues with Starfield. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Again, so I've talked about the problems I have with the game thematically in terms of like the cities not matching the lore. And again, that's something that's always been the case with Bethesda games, but I think when you deal with multiple planets, they should have changed the way they dealt with it a little bit. Again, do the whole Mass Effect sort of situation. Again, no problems with them doing the procedural generations with the other of the thousands of worlds, with the other worlds of the 1,000 worlds. But I think with things like Aquila City, it should have been much more focused. But in terms of the main issues I have with the game's systems, the outpost system is one of the most frustrating things I've ever dealt with. Where do I have an outpost? I think any one of these... Well, no. Those symbols mean that that's where there's settlements, not where I've got a settlement, I think. Let's see. I think I've got one. I cannot remember. Do I have? No. I think, yeah. I think this is a Starborn who's just come back through the Unity, so I don't know if I have any outposts. The biggest problem I have with the outpost system is the link system does not work. Now, I've talked about this in the past, but I tried to create a full network of 24 colonies that would be basically pumping out all of the resources possible to extract and manufacture. And it just does not work because the links don't work. So it's a buggy system that I would hope that they fix. I don't know I feel like I've said this in the past. I would love it if they would like maybe contract one of the guys from Coffee Stain, the people that made Satisfactory, to come help them for a few months setting up that system properly. But that's the biggest problem for me with the game technically. But yeah, those are my issues thematically and technically. Tweak the story. Yeah, oh, and Earth. Earth is another frustrating area. So, you know, it's been over 2 years now. I think we can talk about the story of what happened to Earth without it being a spoiler. But again, if you're worried about that thing, this is something that is part of the story of the main quest line. So, what happens is with the development of the gravity drive, the grav drive, as they also call it, is the technology that makes it possible to travel from one system to another instantaneously. Which, like, I was rewatching, Event Horizon recently, and it's effectively what they were talking about doing for space travel in Event Horizon. Is basically bringing together 2 points in space, and so you basically cross through this Event Horizon, and you're suddenly on the other side of this spot in the other part of space. So it's an instantaneous way to travel. And that's how the grav drive works within the Starfield universe. Well, during the development of the grav drive, they had something wrong with the technology, and it ended up destabilizing the magnetic field of Earth, which caused it to basically sputter, is the way they put it, and basically throw the atmosphere off the Earth. So over the course of, like, I can't remember the exact length of time, I've got a timeline somewhere, 50, 80, 100 years, I can't remember. Regardless, it threw the atmosphere off the Earth, made it unlivable. Okay, fine. Let's go along with that version of events. that still does not explain why Earth is literally 100% dead with nobody living on it at all. Like, you go to Cydonia on Mars, it's buried. They could literally have done the exact same thing on Earth where they already had the people and resources to do it. There should be buried cities on the planet Earth. You should be able to basically go to like a buried version of the city of London or something like that. There should be multiple cities on Earth where people built down into the ground, have atmosphere plants going, places where it's like they're cleaning the air, all that kind of stuff. There should be like biodomes on the surface where it's like full of life. Like they've basically taken a chunk of the Amazon rainforest, let's say, and they've domed over the entire thing so that it's still there. But they didn't do anything like that. And I think honestly it's because, if I'm being realistic about this, I don't think that they wanted to devote the amount of time that would be required to set up those environments. And at the end of the day, it basically means we end up with something that just does not make a lot of sense in terms of the overall story. There should be life on Earth, and it should be actually a significant amount of life. Like, obviously nowhere near the 8 billion people of today, but it should be something closer to like, I don't know, 15, 20 million people, something like that, probably even more if we're talking about the entire global population. If the ones that are not directly involved in the effort to build rockets to get people off the planet, the rest of them should have basically been working to get people underground. Hell, there could even be like 1 billion people living on the planet when it comes right down to it. But again, mostly of living underground and stuff like that. It doesn't make a lot of sense the way it does. But again, doing it the way they did it means that I can go ahead and say, let's go to the middle of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge here. This is a spot of volcanism from which the tectonic plates split. Let's go take a look at it. Now again, this is the ocean floor. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, I'm not wearing a spacesuit. Well, I am, but I'm not wearing the helmet. Let me go ahead and put that on. There we go. Okay. So again, this is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Okay. Alright. Now then, let's go to the top of the Himalayan mountains. And can't you just tell the difference? Again, I understand entirely why they did it the way they did it. They wanted to move on to the story of humanity beyond Earth. And if they had done things properly on Earth, it would have taken them a lot longer. Probably months of development time would have been specifically devoted to developing more of what's going on Earth. And obviously they wanted to move away from that. They basically gave themselves a clean slate to move on across the galaxy, build an entirely new society over the course of a couple hundred years. And I understand that, but again, it does not actually make sense logically. It's like, what do you think's more difficult? Building a floating platform on a world that's entirely oceaned, where how do you even land something on that thing? Or taking a planet where you already have 8 billion plus people living. Of course, by this point in the future, I think projections actually have it down because of falling birth rates and stuff like that. So let's even say it's 5-6 billion people. What's easier, building that floating platform or building a bunch of subterranean cities on a planet that's losing its atmosphere but has all those people already there, already has industry, already has all the resources that you need in order to make that happen? I think it's pretty obvious. So again, it's a disappointing thing to me, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I'm willing to accept the ridiculousness of Earth because I enjoy what they put up in the rest of the galaxy. And you know, that could even have been something they did too with Earth, where they, again, if they'd gone ahead with my version of the skyboxes and like Mass Effect cities type situation, they could have even done the same thing on Earth, where they could have basically had it be like, oh yeah, there's rules where you can't land just anywhere, and it's like you have to go to Europe City 1 or something like that, which is like located at like The Hague or something like that, and it's a subterranean city located in the Netherlands or Belgium, sorry. And you know, it's like you've got just like, I don't know, something around it that actually looks realistic and stuff like that. And you've got all these people living underground. You've got domes on the surface and that kind of thing. But anyway. So yeah. Again, it's frustrating because they've got the foundations of an excellent science fiction universe here. And I've had, I can't remember exactly how long. Let's see, does it list it here? Yes, I've had 974.9 hours of time that I've spent in this world. And again, I love the world, but there's some serious issues that they've got to work through. And I'm afraid that they're basically just going to kind of leave them be. That's my serious fear of it, is that effectively we're not going to see what this could turn into. And I really hope that's not going to be the case. And I know it's within them to be able to create something great here with what they have, but they've got to actually do it. And with the fact that they're going to absolutely be devoting their people to Elder Scrolls, and then after that they've got to work on Fallout 5, which we're probably not going to see until, I don't know, what, 2032, 2033? When are they going to be able to devote the entirety of their people towards Starfield again? Are we talking about maybe having Starfield 2 or significant content added to Starfield by the mid-2030s? It's concerning. Because again, it's an excellent universe that I would hope that they would spend more time working on building in. Because again, like, look at this stuff. They've got a clear aesthetic here that they have devoted themselves to creating. They've got like beautiful cities and beautiful stories that they've told throughout this. But there's so many places where it needs more time, more development. And absolutely, like, the release of the game, I think, came at the right time. There is a good enough amount of content in here to actually build like a base game out of, but like, they are going to need to do more with this if they want to really flesh this universe out completely and make it something that is, I think, worthy of Bethesda's name. Because again, a lot of good stuff, but I don't think it's complete. So let's talk about what I'm going to be working on here for the next few weeks, basically for the rest of the year, because we are now at November 21st. We've got, what is that, 6 weeks left in the year, something like that. So my next video is going to be covering Aquila City, like I said. After that, though, I'm probably going to be moving back to Fallout 76 for a little while, because December is when we get Burning Springs, the update on December 3rd. And we also get, what's it called? The second season of the Fallout TV show on December 17th. So it's going to be a big month for Fallout. And so it's one of those things where, like, typically I've been doing this schedule where I've been running in a cycle, doing Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Starfield. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is going back and covering 76 for a little while. I did 4 videos on 76 in the last month. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is covering Burning Springs as much as I can for a couple months. And then once I've kind of, cut through some of that content, then I will go back to doing the cycle again. But of course, I'm also going to be talking about the Fallout TV show during that time. I'm not going to cover it as extensively as I did last time. If you were following me at that time, I basically took like 3 months to cover the entirety of that season because I did it like way too in depth. I literally have typed up transcripts of the episodes that I myself typed up because I wanted to have a referenceable document that I could look back on when I needed to know the dialogue for specific things, if there was like lore that was in these specific scenes and stuff like that. And so yeah, I spent a lot of time on that, and that basically took me away from doing anything else for the channel, so I don't want to do that again. So what I'll probably end up doing, and if you're not aware, they're going to be releasing the TV show 1 episode at a time, up and through, I think it's February of 2026 that it's happening. So what I'll do is I'll probably watch the episode a couple times when it comes out. I'll probably watch the episode, write up my thoughts, watch it again, and then put it together a video. And I'll probably do that for each one. So it'll be like a video a week on the Fallout TV show, and then at the same time I'll be spending the rest of my time working on Burning Springs content. So we'll see exactly what that entails. I've not experienced any of the Burning Springs stuff. I've been waiting for the game for that part of the game to actually launch properly. So we'll see exactly what they do. There's a lot of good stuff in there, from what I've seen, in terms of like the Rust King, I think is what he's called. I like that we're going to Ohio. We're finally crossing the Ohio River and going to get to explore a more dry sort of location. Something that's more reminiscent of Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. Of course, it brings with it the ghoul, which I'm skeptical on currently for a number of reasons. Namely, it's crazy to me that he would have come to Ohio from from California. Yeah, no, again, I've been talking about this through this. I love Starfield too. I definitely have my critiques of it, though, which I've been listing here quite a bit. But I do want to see the game do better in the future. But anyway, back to the Burning Springs content. I got a question why the ghoul would come to Ohio. Like, I understand entirely why, for the purposes of marketing and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm sure that Bethesda wants to tie together the Fallout 76 and the Fallout TV show as much as possible. I'm glad. It's good to talk to y'all. But the other reason that I'm kind of concerned about the ghoul being in the TV show or being in the game as well is that it's I think it's 2105. It could be 2106 maybe with a Burning Springs launch. I'm not sure. We'll see. But with that being the case, we are not that long after the war. Let's give me a second here. My mind is kind of out of it currently speaking. So let's say it's 2105. Yeah. So 29 years after the war. Sorry, yes, I did literally just have to do the math on my calculator. My mind is in multiple different spots at once and wasn't really focusing on math. 29 years after the war. Why is it that the ghoul seems to be fully the ghoul? Like, he seems to have completely lost the Cooper Howard part of who he was by such a short time after the war. It seems like he is entirely who he later becomes by again 2105, 2106. So again, I'm skeptical on that stuff, but I'm still excited to see it because I love Walton Goggins. Basically, I think my favorite character. I love him as the ghoul, but honestly, if you haven't ever seen The Righteous Gemstones, the character he plays there, Uncle Baby Billy Freeman, is one of my favorite characters in any form of media. Absolutely amazing. Like, you should look up little clips of him if you get a chance, because he's hilarious and he plays the role so well. But regardless, that's my only real concern with that kind of stuff is how they implement it. If they've done their homework on putting that stuff into the game in a realistic manner. Even if they haven't, it's not going to bother me that much. But I do kind of fear what's going to happen if they keep doing more stuff. Like, so, okay, here's a quick thing. Fallout 4 was the first time, to my knowledge, that we basically had somebody coming out of cryogenic storage within the Fallout universe. When the sole survivor comes out of cryo storage to have been a pre-war citizen now walking around the post-war world. 200 years after the fact. Well, now, with the Fallout TV show, we've also got Moldaver. Lee Moldaver, having been, again, another one person that was frozen in storage. But at the same time, I don't know what that noise was. Anyway, along with that, we also had all of the other executives. So it's like the whole cryogenic storage thing seems to be kind of ballooning at the same time. With like Fallout 76. Originally, there was nobody crossing the continent. We basically just had whoever was there was there. Now, you actually, I think you do have basically little bits and pieces where it's like people are maybe going to cross the country. But for the most part, people were sticking where they were, which makes a lot of sense because the post-war world would be a lot like the pre-interstate world. Okay, yes, there is cryo within Mothership Zeta, and you're right, but that's alien technology. Basically, this is we're now talking about human technology with Fallout 4 and now the Fallout TV show. But the crossing the countries, like the first thing where we really got a lot of that was with the Brother to Steel Expeditionary Force coming from the Broken Hills, Lost Hills bunker. Sorry, Lost Hills to Appalachia, and that's a very difficult course. I specifically tried to map that out in a like speculative manner that is in no way actual lore, but it's one of those things where again you had these three members of the Brotherhood of Steel where they're heavily armed. These are people that are well prepared. I'm sure that they beforehand planned out a course that crossed the country where there's again going through cities where they have to cross rivers, going where the cities have like multiple bridges, so they're making sure that the bridges aren't collapsed. They're making sure they don't go through narrow mountain passes where there might be landslides, collapsed tunnels, things like that. I'm sure that they did plenty of preparation for that sort of thing. Now, we do occasionally get stories of other individuals that have crossed the country. For example, there's the pharmacist within Atlantic City that is within the apartment over the Italian restaurant, where he came from Coos Bay, Oregon, and he went to D.C. was working in the ruins of D.C. for a while before moving on to Atlantic City. And basically, like, again, that's another person who's crossed the country. But now it feels like it's getting to be more and more and more of a thing. Again, the ghoul will have had to cross the country, and then we'll have to cross it back again in order to get back to California at some point in the future. And it's one of those things where it's like, it feels like they're kind of like cheapening the danger that comes with crossing the country in the post-war world. Like, I talked about a little bit in my video where I actually talked about the crossing the country by the Brother to Steel, but before the invention of the interstate highway system, and before that there obviously was a little bit of transportation. There were a few transportation routes across the country that were by road for like cars and stuff like that. So specifically we're talking about things like Route 66. But before that, it was very difficult to get across the country. And Dwight Eisenhower, back when he was just I think he was probably like a captain or something like that. This is just after, I think, World War I. And the Army is basically testing how long would it take us to get our people across the country if we had to get them across the country to fight a war on the other side of the country. And I think it took them, I'd have to look this up to get you specifics, so don't quote me on this, but over a month to get from the East Coast to the West Coast with a motorized column. Again, and this is in a time when they were already starting to build roads across the country, but there just weren't actual proper routes. So now we're dealing with a time after the bombs where obviously there are still some roads, but from the roads we've seen, a lot of them are crumbled. We got a lot of overpasses that have collapsed. Now that's due to multiple things. Now some of them are obviously caused by direct impact of the bombs. Obviously that's going to do a lot of damage, but at the same time, I believe it's in the original Fallout, in the intro, I could be wrong about this, I don't remember off the top of my head 100%, that all of the bombs dropping all at once effectively caused the tectonic plates to let loose, and there were massive earthquakes across the world at the same time as the war was going on. And so at the end of the day, like, roads collapse, bridges collapse, overpasses collapse, tunnels collapse. So again, it feels to me a little bit, the more and more we see people constantly crossing the country in the post-war world, like we saw that with Kellogg, obviously, but again, I can absolutely see that being the case with individuals here and there, but it feels more and more like we're seeing it. Yeah, no, I think that the fact that, yeah, so the Brother to Steel has actually crossed the country multiple times. Of course, I believe, let me think about this. Well, there's the expeditionary force that came with, I can't remember if there was an airship involved with Lion's Brotherhood. I don't think there was, but I cannot remember. I don't think there was. I think that's Fallout Brother to Steel where there are airships. Anyway, yeah, I honestly think the vast majority of the reason that the Ghoul is within Fallout 76 is for cross-promotional marketing. Because they want to be able to... Because the Ghoul is an immensely popular character, and if they had any means by which to introduce him to Fallout 76, not only would that make the people who already play Fallout 76 happy, because they get to play a game where they're getting to interact with a character from the TV show, but at the same time, it's also very likely going to draw in some people who have never played the games before. Wasn't an airship till the... Yeah, okay. So I think that the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout Brotherhood of Steel had airships, but I don't think that was part of Lion's Brotherhood crossing the continent the first time around. I know that they went through the pit, and there was the scourging of the pit, or whatever they called it there, scourging it, cleansing, whatever the proper term for it was. That basically turned the pit from being a pit of monsters into a pit of slavers, eventually. But yeah, I don't think that that they did it by airship at that point. I think you're right. That's the other thing, too, is how are they going to explain the Brotherhood's industrial might that they seem to have? I'm very interested to see how they do that with the Fallout TV show, because if you are aware, the Prydwen was a one of a kind, at least that's my understanding of it, to where they basically had to use the resources of the crawler at Adams Air Force Base in order to build the airship. And so it's a question of how do they have multiples of them now that are now apparently involved in fighting each other, which also I 100% agree it looks cool, but it's one of those things where like it doesn't make sense in modern warfare. It's one of those things where it's like, how often do you think? First of all, the airships all have, what are they called? Vertibirds attached to them. And the vertibirds are definitely directly involved in combat. We've seen that both in game and within the Fallout TV show directly. But it's one of those things where when you see this scene where we've got all these airships coming together seemingly for a fight, it brings to mind like the idea of like seeing a bunch of aircraft carriers coming together to fight each other, which is ridiculous, obviously, right? Like basically be like if the Battle of Coral Sea in World War II was not the airplanes from the Japanese and American carriers fighting each other. It was literally the carriers coming together to fight each other. It's a little bit ridiculous. And again, looks cool. I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but I'm concerned about both the number of airships they have and how they're utilizing them I don't know. Well, maybe the scene will explain it properly. We'll see. Maybe this is like some sort of meeting where they're trying to avert a civil war and it ends badly. I have literally no idea. So we will see. We will 100% see what exactly comes of this stuff. So anyway, does anybody have any comments or any questions or anything like that? Again, we'll close things out here in a minute, but I'll wait to see if you all have any comments or questions. For the moment, again, I'm going to reiterate what we're looking forward to for the rest of the year. Again, a video covering Aquila City, and along with that, I'm going to do some more work on Fallout 76 once the Burning Springs update comes out. And then again, covering the Fallout TV show episode by episode. I would think the Brotherhood finally connected all chapters instead of making them isolated. Yep. That's definitely possible. Because, I mean, you've got local elders for the different branches that definitely seem to have different ideologies in terms of how to run things. So that entirely could be a cause of the Civil War. Although, and I'm really hoping we get a little bit more background information on what's been happening with the Brotherhood of Steel to change it into the organization that has become by the Fallout TV show, because it's definitely far more of a religious organization than it was in the past. If you notice with the Fallout TV show, it's no longer that they have scribes, they now have clerics. They've never had clerics before. They've got guys out there swinging incense. It's much more a religious organization, or something even closer to like the Mechanicus, the Adeptus Mechanicus within Warhammer 40k, where it's like maybe they're praying to the machines and stuff like that, and working with the machine spirits, but I don't think they're literally doing that. It feels much more like a Christian sort of a situation, which again, the foundational ideal for what the Brotherhood of Steel is based on Christian Knights of the Crusades. Basically, you had warrior monks is what those original knights were. Not the chivalric ones. I'm talking about the Knights Templar and the Knights Hospitalier. These guys were literally monks that instead of spending their time copying books, they spent their time training militarily, eventually put on the armor and went off to go fight. And that's effectively what we're looking at with the Brotherhood of Steel. Was not only did the monks have their libraries, where again some of them were copying books to make sure the books were not lost to time, but the other ones were putting on armor and going off to fight the enemies of Christendom. And so effectively that's what it seems like the Brotherhood of Steel is slipping more into that, rather than it just being like an allusion to that sort of a thing. They're literally becoming basically warrior monks with a lot more of actual religion involved. So yeah, I'm wondering why it is that the term elder seems to have fallen out of use, because it definitely seems to me that I think that they call the head of the Brotherhood that Maximus is serving. Is that his name? I've got so many names floating around my head right now. Yeah, Maximus and Thaddeus. The Brotherhood that they serve seems to be headed by a senior cleric or something like that. Elder cleric, I can't remember. At the end of the day, though, that used to just be an elder. And so I'm wondering what happened with the terminology. I've said it before that I think potentially what's happening here is that it's becoming a monarchy, where we've got Arthur Maxon effectively trying to become King Arthur. Like his name is Arthur. He has named his ship the Pridwen, which is the name of King Arthur's ship, in one of his one of the myths about King Arthur, one of the original Welsh myths of King Arthur. So yeah, it seems entirely possible that that's the route they're going, where it's becoming much more of a feudal society, where they're also now calling the knights lord. So again, I want to know exactly what's been going on, exactly where these changes have been coming in. I want them to acknowledge that these are changes, because otherwise it's a very strange transition without explanation from the end of Fallout 4 to the TV show. So we will see exactly what comes of that. For the moment, though, we don't really have an explanation on why it is that they've made this change. But anyway, though, I think I'm going to close things out there. Again, what to look forward to for the rest of the month and for December is I'm going to be working on the video covering Aquila City within Starfield. Then I'm going to be, again, moving on to Burning Springs content once the update for 76 launches on December 3rd. And then with the second season of the Fallout TV show launching episodically starting on December 17th, I'm going to be watching that at least a couple times, putting together a video on what the important stuff that showed up in those episodes, potential connections to other parts of the universe, potential connections to the original first season, and we'll go from there. And we'll see exactly where things go for the rest of the year in terms of all that stuff, and where things start out next year. But it's been great hanging out with y'all. It's been great to talk to you all. Dr. Vanguard Voyager there at the start. Vint Avk 4? Vint Tavk 4? Sorry if I don't know. I can never tell exactly how some people intend for their names to be pronounced here. Jackson Jacino, if that's pronounced. Jacksino. I think that's how you would pronounce that. Great to talk to you too. I hope you all have a good weekend, and I will see you all next Friday, and we'll talk more about Aquila City by that point. The video definitely will not be ready by that point, but I will definitely be deeper into it. I will have more of a knowledge of exactly how I'm going to structure it by that point. Probably have an actual count of the number of NPCs I'll have to talk about at that point. We'll see. So, hope everybody has a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you all next time. It'll actually be the Black Friday that we'll be talking next. And yeah, have a great night to you as well. It was good to talk to you all. Thanks for good conversation on the stream. Bye all.